Please patronize our sponsors who support the Guild and our mission to educate members and non-members to enjoy and enrich their woodworking skills and experiences. You Pick Hardwood Lumber, Beaver Industrial Supply, Rockler Woodworking and Hardware, and the W.D. Quinn Saw Company.
Okay, next month there will be no show and tell our presentation, so just be aware of that. Because the election of officers and business stuff will be next month. That'll take over the whole thing, so we won't be doing show and tell or a presentation next month. Please start making toys again. Hospitals are starting to ask for them again, and we have a lot going on in the Christmas toy build, so we need toys again. There is no activity going on in the new shop committee, but if anybody out there has any ideas, has any buildings, know of anything else, know somewhere we can get a whole bunch of money, reach out and talk to Jay. He'll be glad to take your stuff and do something with it. You guys should have got a survey in the mail. I know we got, it's unbelievable the responses that we got. No? It's unbelievable the responses that we got from the email that went with the survey. But everybody's shaking their head, no. Well, it was what we didn't go through, was that frog, turtle, whatever. What's that? MailChimp. That they're all green. They wanted us to pay. We could never find the free version. So what we did was we did Google's. Through Google has a survey type thing, and so we went through that and sent the email out along with the survey. So one person did get the survey, because we did get one survey back. We're getting 2 days ago. Okay. I'll go in and check on that. But if you get it, try to fill it out, because we want to see how this Google thing works. We don't know how it works. MailChimp's funny because it lets you send stuff out, but you got to pay big money to get the responses back now. So it's like, what good is it? That's right. We can send it out, but we don't want you to answer it because we don't want to pay for it. So, but it's all about mentoring, and it's amazing the amount of people that we have responded back to us, telling us what they want and what they're looking for in a mentor. We got a couple back saying, yes, I would like to be a mentor. So it's going on pretty quick. It's kind of neat. We also have a spot in the database that I built, so we could tell who's the mentee and who they have as a mentor. So we'll be able to look and see. So if you got a complaint about your mentor or mentee or whatever, then we'll be able to talk to people and see if we can make things right or not. Another thing is, just an FYI, I don't know if anybody really knows about this or not, but anybody who wants to come to our monthly board meeting to see what the Guild is doing has the right to do it. Just let us know now, because it's mainly online, and we'll get you a link if you want to come to a meeting and see what the meetings are like. Hey, Aaron, you want to come up here? I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but Aaron is leaving us, unfortunately. He's done a great job of the website, and with his server in his basement and doing all kinds of things, making it work and stuff. So, everybody has, I want to thank you, and
No
we have a little gift for you.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you.
For such a wonderful job that you did.
I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Aaron's really the guy that was behind the scenes that really made our website transition completely seamless and frictionless, and really without any hiccups, with maybe a small couple blips. But at the end of the day, thanks to Aaron and his skills, we were able to get there from where we were, which was quite a lot of effort and quite a lot of work, and he's put a lot of time and energy into it. And we just want to say thanks for all your energy and your effort, and we really appreciate it. We're going to miss you dearly,
Yep.
man. And, so he's going to Milwaukee. Yeah, we say something about that?
All right.
And so there's a Milwaukee Woodworkers Guild, and we went ahead and bought you a membership to that. To that guild. So when you get there, they have a webmaster spot open. I'm sure they're looking for some help when you get there, man.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for that.
We didn't mention that.
That's on you. But again, thank you, Aaron, for everything you've done. It was really awesome.
Thank you. New members and visitors. I know we got a few members have joined that are here tonight that are new. If you can stand up and wait till a microphone comes over to you. And tell us your name and, whoa.
Well, actually, I was a member all last year, but I never made it to a meeting. So this is actually my first meeting that I'm attending. But I signed up last year at the Woodworkers, Woodworkers show, which is actually, I guess, no more anymore.
Yep.
My name's Stephen Wells. Might be the shortest guy here. So.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Sean Menke. Joined in last year and just had the opportunity to come tonight. I think last month was canceled, so
Yeah.
first time here.
All right. Welcome.
Yep.
Upcoming classes. The end of this month, we have a introduction to pen turning. It's going to start at 11 o'clock. Next safety class is going to be the first Thursday in April, April 3rd. April 13th, we're going to have a how to sharpen hand planes. That's going to start at 9 o'clock. Hand saws, what did I say? April 27th, I'm going to try to teach a beginning scroll saw class. Hope it goes better than tonight is. And then for May 1st, this is going to be the next safety class. So up and coming, the first and third Fridays from 10 to 2 is going to be the Christmas toy builds. So you want to learn how to do, if you need very little basic skills or whatever, go on out and help. All levels are welcome, and they'll put you to work. Then we got the beginning woodworking class starting June 3rd. And in the fundamentals class, July 23rd. No, that date's not right. I don't know. But all of that is on the website. Looks like we got pretty many toys back there, though, today. Anybody know how many we collected? 257 toys. All right. That's good. Home Sweet Home, Tom Turney is the chairman. And so far this year, we are doing really good. Is that 163 tables already this year? Wow. And last month was 22. So boy, and that's total. We started this, 3 years ago?
We just ended our the end of this month will be the end of our third year.
Wow, so we're way ahead of what we have been then.
Yeah, we should get pretty close to 400 by the end of the month. 400 total tables in 3 years. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's well done for everyone.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks for all your work on that, too. I know that's a lot of work.
Well, I have a lot of help. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
And next, community Outreach on the Christmas toy program. Like I said, first and third Fridays. I keep harping on that because we need so many toys. Wayne, how many toys did you said you were on? 2,000 this year? Is that your goal?
That's our goal. We're at 300.
So as you see, we need a lot of toys, a lot of toys. So if you're making toys and you're making cars or whatever, it's just as easy to go ahead and make that second or third one because you got the pattern, everything made. Make those and turn them in because we need toys. Next up, nomination stuff. Vicki, you want to talk?
My name is Vicki Berry, and I am part of the nominating committee that consists of Tom Tierney and Wayne Humphrey. We were asked to come up with a slate of best candidates for our election, which will take place next year. One of the things that the bylaws ask is if we have any nominations from the floor. So I'm officially asking if there are any nominations from the floor for the positions of president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and one director. Okay, no nominations from the floor. That's fine. So the nominating committee, and by raising hands by many of the incumbents, in fact, all of the incumbents, your slate of candidates for 25-26, if you would go back. Brian Ellison has nominated himself to run for president again, and Corey Donner for vice president. Adam Connors, the secretary. Joe Turner, treasurer. And then our existing directors, as you may not know, we have 4. And they are on a 4-year term, and one cycles off every year. So who's staying is Hal Donovan, Bob Castiger, and then we have one vacant. So the nominating committee is nominating Bob Danner, now you can stand, to fill the position that Dan Lindner, who put on Superstar Weekend, his term is up. So those are your candidates. We will be voting next month, and you have to be present to vote. Okay? So that's how that will work. And then I would like to do a little 2-cent or 2-minute, 2-second commercial. You know, this is a volunteer organization, and I believe we have well over 400 members now. So you look around the room and you see those that come month after month after month. Well, what you may not know is of those members, over half of them, I think, Brian, if you quote me or if I may quote you, are new to the Guild and newly retired. Got that? Newly retired and may need something to do. So every organization, such as ours, who has been in existence for 50 years, and community outreach, education, and there's something else. You know, those are the 3 pillars of this organization. And every organization that's been around as long as ours has and has been as successful as we have been needs a great succession plan. So I'm asking that any of you who think you might want to be involved on the board or be involved in committees, to please step forward. We are always looking for new faces and new ideas and new folks that can help continue the organization well past the next 50 years. You know, you've heard Brian say the toy committee needs a chair, and I would offer to you that, you know, maybe 2 people chair it and take some of the load off of just one person if you're not sure if you can handle it yourself. And as Brian also said, all of the board members are open to all members. So if you think you might want to get involved, you're welcome to participate and join in on any monthly meeting and see how they go, what they do. I think those on the board will tell you it's really not as much work as you imagine, but the leadership is what's important, the guidance from members is important, and your direction is important. So please think about being involved, getting involved, even if you've been in the guild for decades. Hard to believe, but I've been in the guild for 10 years now, and it's gone really fast. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I've loved most is the community outreach of this organization. It's just phenomenal. So anyway, that's my 2-minute commercial to please think about getting involved. You can also grow as an individual, but we certainly need all the help we can get. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my name is David Gronefeld, and I'm the shop manager. And also, I work at Faust Park, and I just wanted to piggyback on what Vicki was talking about in terms of how we can get involved. And we do have some activities at Faust Park. First of all, there's the art fair on August 16th, and we need guild members to produce some things that can be sold at the art fair, and we collect those things, usually keep them in the shed out there, and then we will sell those with the proceeds going to the guild, and that'll be again this August. And also, last year, for the first time, we went to the summer camps that were held through the county at our county park facilities, and we did a presentation for the campers. And they have asked that we do that again. This year there's 2 summer camps, one at Queenie and one in North County, and we will need helpers for that as well. So there's a couple of things that are coming up that I could use some help with. Okay, so
All right.
thanks.
Thank you. All right, show and tell. So if you have show and tell stuff, come on up and get mic'd.
Hal Donovan built this table. This is his 71st table for Home Sweet Home. So he builds them and donates them. This is white oak from Food Crafters, and Matt Wallace donated some black oak, and Hal made a very beautiful table out of it, and it's his 71st. Wow. Yay, Hal. Okay, Ron, is it Bonds? Donated 104 of these 18-inch gouge handles. They're red oak, and we're using them to create tables. And this again, it's an oak table. The oak's from Food Crafters, and then the 4 spindles are Ron donated. So it makes a very nice table. The other thing I wanted to point out to the guys that when we donate a table to Home Sweet Home, we put a sticker on it, every one of the tables. Some of the guys sign them, and that's fine, and date them, that's fine. But we put a sticker on them that says handmade for you and St. Louis Woodworkers Guild. So people will know where the table came from. Yes, Jerry? What kind of joint is that? What kind of who? Joint? Joint. Oh, it's, I guess, through the top with a wedge. I guess it's a wedgie joint. And I don't want to hog all the time, but okay. This is going to be showing up at the shop in the next couple days, weeks, whatever. It is a dust separator. We're going to put it over at the miter saw station that has a dedicated vacuum, and this will remove supposedly 99% of the dust. So it'll keep it out of the filter, out of the bag, keep the efficiency of that particular vacuum high, and will allow that vacuum to work longer. So I built the cart, but this will be going to the shop in the next couple days. That's all. Thanks.
I'm Dan Sutkamp. I've been working with Wayne, Vicky, and Linda on the Christmas toy program, and we were off a couple months like we normally do every year, but I took the time this winter to make some trucks. Started out with had some Baltic birch that was actually my son that gave to me, and I had a bunch of these dually wheels that were donated to by a friend of mine a long time ago, and I got an order from Wayne to use some of them, so which I did, and so I made a dump truck, and I'm an old farm boy, so I ended up making a green truck model out of the thing. But dinosaur banks, these are type of things that the Christmas program can use. They're finished. This is if you look at it, it's a rainbow. You take it, kids can take them and stack them up and make all kinds of different designs out of them and such. But again, anything you can do, 1-5 different items, we'll take them, and if they need to be finished, we'll take care of finishing them. So these trucks like this, we're just going to leave unfinished. But ideas like this, if you want some ideas, just talk to us, and we can come up with something for you that you would enjoy to do. So. Thanks.
Okay, I'm Keith Lassant, and among other things, I collect dragons. I found this dragon on the internet and looked at it and said, that looks like a fun one to try to make. So I figured out all the different pieces. I made it out of chinkapin oak and walnut veneer on the underside of the wings. And I made another one for out at the park for the whimsical woods. Yes.
At this point.
I guess you guys heard of 5-minute abs? This is 50-minute stands. I made a speaker stand in about an hour out of black walnut that I harvested from my property. And I basically created these small stands for my surround speakers. These are for a little Sonos speaker that's very tiny and sits on the stand here. So I made a couple of stands for my living room. Very simple, very quick, very easy. I did a little mortise cut with our janked up mortiser at the shop, but I made it work, and glued the legs on, tacked them with some tack nails, and put shellac on it, and that was it. Okay, I did sand it for 30 seconds, but that was it. It was a very quick job, and I just, turned out pretty well. So.
Hello, I'm Bob Castigar. I recently decided that I wanted to try to make a cane. Now, people have been making canes to help old folks for years. So I looked up some articles, I looked up some books, and all I could find was articles that told me how to connect the handle to the shaft. And almost all of them said use threaded rebar, or threaded bar, and epoxy. Okay, I can do that. I can make me a cane. So I decided to make a cane out of hickory and walnut. And I have to thank, I don't know who I'm thanking, but somebody brought in a whole bunch of veneer. Well, I glued that veneer together to make a really nice little decorative element up here. So even if you don't use veneer for what it was intended for, you can use it for really beautiful little decorative elements. So is what I found out doing this project is that the joint actually isn't the hard part. The hard part is trying to get this to fit your hand and be comfortable. So I basically sanded that I routed it, and it felt like something you would have bought at Walmart. And then I sanded it to shape until it fit my hand nice. And then the next problem that I found was really difficult was how do you do a taper 36 inches long where I want it to be 5/8 at the bottom and 15/16 at the top. So I did the math and found out that that's 2 minutes. 20 minutes of an angle. That's 1/3 of a degree. Well, nothing I have is gonna do that. So the first one I did on the lathe, and I did what they call an off-center tailstock, where you pull the tailstock towards you a little bit and cut a straight line. And I got that taper. And I thought, well, that's pretty impressive, but that's not what I wanted. I really wanted a good taper on it. So I made a second one, and you can see on this one that the taper actually is a bit better. And I did this one by basically marking off an inch increments all the way up to where I wanted the taper to be. And then I did the math and said, if that's going to be 5/8 and this is going to be 15/16, I needed to take 8 thousandths off each of those inches. So I turned all of those little segments, carefully measuring 8 thousandths, smoothed it out with sandpaper, and it came out with a reasonable taper. Now, so I want you to, okay, two things I want you to think about. One is, how did they do this back in the day? I'm sure they just made a jig that ran them out, but how do you do it if you want to do one? And the other thing I want to challenge the Wood Guild guys to is this should be the next fashion statement for us woodworkers. Because this is a classy look for us old guys to walk around with. One of these I made for myself, one I made shorter for my wife. So I challenge you, make yourself a classy cane. And to finish up, my brother said, why would you make yourself a cane when you don't need a cane yet, Bob? Because when I need one, I'm not going to want to make one. Thank you. Okay, the question was, where did I get the bottom pieces? And that actually, I have the answer right here. I went to the mom and pop hardware store. Out by me, it's called Jailing's out in O'Fallon. And you can buy these wonderful little rubber caps for about 90 cents. So, very reasonable.
I'm John Markeel, and since the theme, this was supposed to be last month, was bandsaws, I brought one of my bandsaw projects, which is a nice little trivet. But if you stand it up, it's now your roll basket. The template for this I got out, I think it's an American Woodworker, probably from back from the 60s. And I haven't been able to track down what the template is. You can probably pick it up off the internet. The key part of this is you have to put an angle on the bandsaw. I believe this one was about 7 degrees. 5 to 7, yeah, right in there. Yeah. And then the other part is that you have to start on one side and round and round and round and round and round until you're dizzy. Yeah. And then you have to turn the bandsaw off, and you have to walk it back out around and round and round and round until you're dizzy.
So I'm Joe Grayson, and I might have mentioned this when I first arrived here, but I do modeling. So this was one of the models. I'm trying to suck a couple people into this kind of thing. This is not a kit. This is all, I made the whole thing. So there's a ton of wood in it. I probably have maybe a quarter or even a half a board foot. A lot of time, and it's probably maybe this particular one's probably 4 or 5, 6 months, worth of work. The thing that's interesting about it, you can look into the holds and stuff to see some of the detail. The thing that's interesting is it's not wood carving, and it's not making tables, and you can do it at a desk. I mean, you don't need to have a shop. So it's and the other thing is mentally, I think it's a lot more challenging to me to some things. Making a table and stuff like that. Clearly there's steps that you need to go through to be able to get it, do it. But with the ship, you got to actually build it just as if you're building the ships. So mentally, I feel like it's a really good challenge. So this is one of the smaller ones that I'm making. You know, I'm hoping that I can get a hook in 2 or 3 people or 4 people that like doing this kind of junk. And just because my wife can't stand it when I talk, I'll come up and talk to her. Look at this little stupid little thing, and she doesn't quite get it. But all the metal fixtures on here, that's all made just from wire. You know, so that's the other thing. I used to blacksmith a little bit, so now I do it on a really small scale because I can get a piece of wire and I can pound it flat, and then you can drill holes through the thing. And there's metal pieces on here. If you take a look at it, you'll see that everything. Well, I didn't make the wire, of course, but the whole thing was made. This particular thing, it's from the Chesapeake Bay. It's called a skipjack, and it was made for clamming. And the reason why I built it was it has this really neat system of lines that surround the 2 sails. And the reason for them is a single person can take this boat out. You don't need to have 2 different people operating the boat. And when you drop the sail, it'll stay within the confines of the thing. So, and you can see from this, you can, so as far as this kind of modeling goes, this, I probably got $30 in this. You can buy a kit, which doesn't, they usually give you the hardware and stuff like that, but then they'll just give you a pile of wood. So there's still an awful lot of effort that's required for the thing. But right now I'm more, so this particular thing, I made it out of cherry. That happened to be what I had, at the time. So anyway, it's not for everybody, but it's.
Did you make the hull? Is it solid wood, or did you build it on plastic or something?
No, this is you build on this one you build a form, and then it's planked on top of the form. This it's not a solid hull. It's I think they call it a plank on frame. Yeah. Model.
Somebody asked me at church to make one of these for her son who's getting married. All she said was antique peppermill. So I looked that up. Penn State carries them, Craft Supplies, and Woodcraft. This is the mechanism from here on up. There's nothing down below there. No shaft. So I just decided to make this out of black walnut. And it opens here, and I put about half a teaspoon of black peppercorns in it, and I started to turn it, and it does work. It will come out on the table. So I may, at some point, if I keep on making these, I may make a cup out of a similar or different wood that it fits down in about an inch, and it's a little bit wider and just fits there. Now this one's black walnut, and it's a little tricky because before I turn the hole going down this way is an inch. The hole that fits this is about 44 millimeters. But even before that, I have to find out where I drill the holes here and here for the screws. This and this do not have screws. It's just to align it. And so I had to find out which drill bits I have. Now I've got them all, so I don't have to go back to Lakeland Ace Hardware on Manchester. And there is one like this, and the other one goes around like this. I haven't made it yet, but pretty soon I probably will. And it doesn't, once I started getting it going, it works very well.
Bandsaw tune-up. So I bought this bandsaw, and I looked around and I thought, because it's Grizzly, it's still made overseas. I looked at a whole bunch of different ones, and all of these like this are about the exact same. This one was just a little bit more, so I figured, well, if I bought something a little bit more expensive, it'll be better. No. Neat thing about this one that I do like is they do come off, and it makes it so much easier to work on. But when I bought this, it didn't work. I called them up, and 'cause I went down to Springfield, bought it, brought it back up, tried to use it, couldn't keep the blade on, just didn't work. So they said, well, you could ship it back. Well, I want to ship it back from up here down there so they could turn around and send me another one when I drove down there. So my thing, my wife said I have to wear this shirt. If somebody made it, I can fix it, right? So it just happened that, was it 2 years ago, I guess it was. I was at the wood show, and Alex SNODGRASS was in there talking about bandsaw tune-ups. So I went and I really watched him again. I think I saw that show 3 times that day. And so I went home and I did it to I got a big jet. And man, I couldn't believe how great that worked on my jet. Man, I cut paper from a stock of wood with that. I went, that's great. So I went, if I could do that with that big machine, I should be able to do something with this one. Well, coming to find out, this lower unit is adjustable. It's got 4 bolts in the back, and this pulley moves in and out. That's got to be tight. There should be. Oh. Got it? All right. Okay. So yeah, here, and that's what the other thing nice about this thing. It's light. But there's 4 bolts back here, which hold that thing in there. Well, got to make sure that you're in there straight so it doesn't wobble, because if you get it wrong, the blower wheel is going to wobble. But that wasn't that bad to do. But the problem that I had was the whole thing was shifted forward, and the blade wouldn't stay on. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how am I going to fix this? Well, I bought this for my wife because she's afraid of my big one. And so the first thing you got to do, like, I don't have to replace the blades on this one this often, but first thing you got to do is you got to take everything off. And I do a lot of little stuff with this. Once I got this thing going, this has been a really neat machine once you figure out how to get it to work. So in that same vein, the stinking light went out. So I tried to fix it, and you'll see earlier I didn't do that great of a job because the way that this thing is molded in. So I called them, and they go, oh, you must have an older machine. They don't sell these like that anymore. So Amazon, this magnet goes to the top, and there's my light. Whoops. It also has another feature which I think is kind of stupid for a bandsaw, but it's got a little bitty LED light here that it's there, so where'd it go? tracks the blade. So if you got a line that you got to follow, it kind of tracks. Well, you know, you really can't do that on a bandsaw. I don't use that one that often. So the first thing you got to do is get the table off. Wedge on this one is a it's got this neat little gear thing here, but it gets caught on this thing here, and I'm not going to take the time to take the screw out and do all that. It's spring loaded, and it's more trouble than it's worth. Oh, and if you've looked at this thing, I got things written all over the place on how to tighten and loosen because I can't remember anything. So this here is an easy release for the tension. So when the blade breaks or whatever, I don't pull all the whole tension out. I just pull it to where this thing starts coming down. And you got to remember this has to come down to open it up. So the blade's broken, the blade's off. This wheel always collects. So before you put a new blade on, I always come and clean the rubber tires off because they really get caked.
What are you using?
I'm using it's just a steel brush. I tried other ones, and that didn't work out too great. But it's funny that the bottom one gets worse than the top one does. So what I did is I had this thing that was messed, and down here was out of kilter. So I had to figure out how, because you listen to Alex, he goes, "You never touch the bottom." Well, on these you have to. You got to make sure that with the straight edge on here, that all of the pieces, that one's not long enough. That's why I brought two. That all of the pieces will touch together. And that's why I have this over here. So when I start on this smaller machine, I will put my board up there and make sure that every piece is touching. So I know I'm pretty well straight. I'll still have to readjust that on the top. And then I'll come back. I lose things a lot, so a lot of my machines have magnets on them. So as you can see, I got a big rare earth magnet right here that holds the tools for all of the pieces. So then I'll come, and every time, now if you're putting on the exact same blade, you really don't have to go through all this, but I'm going through like we're putting on a different blade, because this is the best part about doing this is loosening up all of the rollers, because no matter what blade, if you're changing blades, all of these are going to be different. When I first did this, it took me about 4 hours. I was driving my wife nuts. She was down helping me, and I was hollering and screaming and carrying on. And let's see, I got one more to do. The thruster bearing at the top. Okay, so in there. Now all the bearings are loose, out of the way, and ready for the new blade to come on. One of the other things that I learned when you're playing around with something this small, there's no way you can get 2 people into this thing to put this blade on. You can't. Spring clamp. I was sitting down there just fighting this thing, trying to keep the blade on, and I would get the top on, and I can put bottom, and the top. It's like, this is crazy. So I went, hell, I got a lot of clamps. Let's try this. This is a 1/4 inch. I do have, it says you can put an eighth inch on there. I do put an 1/8 inch on there, but it's really funny. The 1/8 inch is finicky. You can get this thing really tight, and I've had the track so tight that I busted the blade just to try to keep it from walking on the tire. So I normally stick with the 1/4 inch. So I'll take my clamps there, and I don't take tension all the way off. Get in the hole, get in the hole, get in the hole. Okay, take a little bit more tension off. Come on, fingers. There we go. Bring the tension up on it. Take my clamps off. Blades on. Love them clamps. So now comes the tricky part when you got to spin it by hand to see if it stays, which I know because I made an adjustment that this is going to walk. So I can see that it's walking that way. So, let's see. I got this marked. So I turn it that way to go for the blade to go to the center. And you want the blade, the center of the, which is on this small of a blade, it's kind of hard to see, but you want the center of the teeth to be riding on the crown. And that there looks pretty good. You want the teeth, the center of the teeth, right, running on the crown of your belt, your tire. Because your tire, the tire has a little crown on it. It's not totally flat. So you take where your teeth comes, right? So let's say that's a tooth. You want that crown to go about right here. So you want. Yep. Yeah. And that's perfect. So I always do the top. I always do the top first because the bottom is not all that important. And you want the, so I normally do the 2 sides. And I just eyeball screwdriver. Man, did I pick a big one? There we go. Oh, thank you. And what I'll do is I'll take them out. I do take them out every time. Well, you're not coming out. Okay, anyway, normally I take them out and I clean them up real good. But this one does not seem to want to come out today. But I run my bearings to where they're just going to be right behind the gullet of the teeth. And then I'll roll it in because they're eccentrical screws. So as you go and you go turn it, it's going to turn the bearing in closer, back it out. You know, you want to fall backwards today, but you don't want to come out. It's like it doesn't want to come forward any further than that. There it comes. There. That's where I want it. Now we're going to tighten that down. The set screw down. Tighten it down just a little bit. You can't tighten it down all the way on these machines because it's running on that. And I just start off at first just by eyeballing. That's too tight. I can move the thing and it'll go. And then I pushed it back too far again. So when you're doing this, you got to have a little patience because on the bigger machines, you adjust. This one here, the rollers are on a bar that just slides back and forth. The only adjustment you got is moving it up. My big machine, I have a set screw on it, which will move it back and forth. Not this one here. So if you go to adjust this screw and you put too much pressure on it, you're pushing it in again. Now, I haven't figured a way yet other than get my nail back behind there and trying to get it done. Still got it too tight. All right, I'm going to tighten that down. Move this one in. Adjust this side. No, no, weird. This one comes right out. So, I always have some spray. Not WD-40. It's a dry lubricant, silicone spray. That I'll spray them down with that. I found out on my big machine if I use WD-40, it does nothing but gum up the bearings, and so I always take them out, clean them out. It only takes a second when you're changing the blade, so it'll keep crap from going bad the next time. We'll get that close. Okay, that's pretty close. And then on the thruster bearing, to adjust the thruster bearing, I just put very little pressure on the blade and then adjust the thrust. We can't. Yeah, it's right. It's right there. So it's misadjusted right now. No. So just put a little pressure on and go up, and it just starts hitting that thruster bearing, and that's about right where I want it. And that's that screw. And then test it again, and it moved. Oh. Maybe I'm pushing on it. No, that's fine, because I'm pushing on it a little bit, it moves. So that's about where you want it. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, repeat the exact same stuff to the bottoms. And look at that, that one comes right out. I would say about every, maybe, it all depends on how much you use it. But I find for me, about every 6 months, I give them a good cleaning.
Wandering when you're cutting, it's time to do it.
Yeah. But like for me, the bandsaws do get a lot of use, but they don't get constant. I'm not constantly using. Well, I'm not in my shop every day. I guess if you got one like at our shop, it probably should be cleaned and adjusted a lot more. Oh, we're doing good. It's only 8:05. I didn't take that one out. Too tight. One guy I know has a Rikon that's just like this, and he had problems getting his. So I worked on his and got his to work. And these are actually, once you know all the little bitty ins and outs of these things, these are nice little bandsaws, especially for making like small toys and small pieces. So there, blade's on. Now we got to put this stupid thing back on. So everything's been adjusted. I did the bottom the same way I did the top. And this aluminum thing is, don't want to put anything too heavy on it. It flexes bizarre. Come on, get in there. Come on, what the? Oh, this is the worst part of the whole thing. I don't know who came up with this design that you can't pull this. Well, you can't pull this thing out far enough to get the dumb thing on most of the time. Okay, let's do it the hard way. I'm so afraid, there's so much plastic on here, I'm so afraid of breaking something, you know? And for dust collection, nothing I had fit, right? It's got a weird thing on it, so had to 3D print me a thing to put on there so it fits. I guess if you do it this way, it does save some time. Maybe I might start doing this from now on. Every time you work on this thing, you always learn something else. This thing comes with a fence, if that's what you want to call this thing. I think probably 2 pieces of wood and a clamp would probably work better. It also comes with a miter slide, which I just don't know why you would want to use that on this, but oh, wrong one. I do that every time. There. Put the handy leveler back on. Which, how many people have a bandsaw didn't know what this thing was there for? I didn't at first. I was like, what the hell is this thing? My stop is misadjusted over here. There we go. But the other nice thing about having a Grizzly is Grizzly does have, as long as it's not too old, they do have all the parts for these things. As one of these days I'm going to change all my rollers, and they said they have them in stock. So yes. Yeah, they made some really nice changes. Table's a little bit better. They don't have this funky light. It comes with a push stick now. You would want a push stick on a paint. What size is this? This is a 9-inch. Oh. Oh. Where'd you go? There you go. So, as you can see, the light does somewhat work, but it's just not bright enough. That's why I use that one for this down here, but what's that?
What TPI?
I think it's 14. think it's a 14 teeth per inch. So that's just about getting everything aligned, and that's the biggest. Go ahead. I don't get much drift. Now, you know, with the if the blades are totally adjusted right, you shouldn't get any drift, and if your tension set right. That's one thing that what I said, and that's one thing. I'm glad you said that because I forgot to talk about how I set the tension. I always set the tension back here in the back, that I want the tension to go back about 1/8 of an inch, and I could probably go a little bit tighter on this one. But I always test it in the back just to go about 1/8 of an inch. And then, like, I can do this if it'll let me, even with this stinking, I always put it on with a square to make sure things are square, because it really doesn't work all that great, but then it's just a small piece, so. So the front side of this thing is 4.8 millimeters, and this side here is 4.95 millimeters. So that's pretty damn straight. Just in a really quick like that. So, you know, there was another question. Oh, I did? Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
When do you know that it's time to change your tires?
Oh, you know, I've never changed a tire. So, you know, I don't know. I guess when you start to get slippage or whatever, I put it this way. I had a Harbor Freight 14-inch that I had and I used for almost 10 years. Never changed the tires on them. And when I got my big jet, I sold that one to a guy for $75. He still hasn't changed the tire. He lives across the street from my son. So I don't know. I guess if you get slippage or whatever, or just the blade starts moving a lot.
Hey, Brian.
But yeah, I've never changed a tire.
Hey, Brian. I'm willing to voice in on that one.
Okay.
I mean, I had my tire come off, and so that decided, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I did a little research, and yeah, so I had to buy new tires. And they took a little work to get on because they go on really tight. But once they got on, that solved my problem. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I bet putting them on's fun.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay, here we go. I've been trying to get my jet to resaw. I've got a 6-inch riser on it.
Yep.
And I'm having a bear of a time getting that thing straight. New bearings, level it up, and I'm still can't figure out what I'm doing wrong, because it starts out 1/4 inch, and but I get done, it's 1/4 inch on the top, and then it's walking.
Sounds like your tension's not tight enough. If it's walking and your cut is bowing,
yeah,
your tension's not tight enough.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest thing.
So what was your trick on tension?
Tension, I go from the back side.
Yeah.
And I pinch it or move it to where it only goes about 1/8 of an inch. Seems like the wider blade that you go, like I got a big 1/2-inch blade on mine, you know, just move it to where it just moves a little bit. You know, you don't want it to where you got to really force it, but you want to grab it and be able just to move it just a little bit.
Because I've got a 3/4 inch blade.
Yeah.
And it's got to be tension.
I have a.
I think like 7.
Let me help you here.
3 teeth per inch.
You need a different blade because you have a 14-inch bandsaw with the riser, right?
Yeah.
So even though a 3/4 inch blade will fit on it, you don't want one that big.
It's too big.
You can't tension it tight enough.
Really?
And because you're tensioning it, you're trying to, the frame on that is flexing because you have that extension in there.
So I should go smaller blade.
Go to a 1/2 inch, 3-tooth blade, 3 TPI blade.
Okay.
And then when you feed your board through there, give it time for the teeth to do the cutting. You have to clear this, the sawdust has to clear.
Yeah.
But
Give it a try.
you still may see some flexing because that's why a lot of the manufacturers went to the steel frames, is because they don't flex.
Yeah.
I have a
Thank you.
Delta 14-inch that I put a riser on,
Yeah.
so that I could resaw. My advice is use the big bandsaw at the shop. It does a great job.
Yeah, I've heard anytime you put a riser on that, the whole thing will flex.
Okay. Well, I can take the riser off.
And make sure the upper and lower bearings don't almost touch the blade. I've heard all kinds of people, put a dollar bill in there, a piece of paper and stuff like that. I eyeball it, and I take it just, yeah. Yeah. I just get them as close as I can, that when I spin the wheel, they don't touch, And I just eyeball them.
Hey, Wayne.
Yes.
One quick comment. You mentioned the two wheels being coplanar.
Yes.
I'll say that on some bandsaws they're not. For example, those of us like myself that are lucky enough to have shopsmith equipment and, and the shopsmith bandsaw, that top wheel is actually canted. It's not perfectly coplanar.
When I adjust it to get the thing go, then it comes out of coplane, and that does adjust back.
Yeah.
But when I start, when I start and put a blade on it, I want both of those wheels perfectly straight.
They're permanently.
Oh, permanently
canted.
that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's never supposed to be coplanar. It's designed that way.
That's interesting. All right. Any other question?
Question, but a comment.
Oh, comment.
The library has 3 books on bandsaws. Completely illustrated bandsaws. Oh, 4, sorry.
4.
The bandsaw book,
Oh, that one's a good one.
and getting you the most out of your bandsaw. And the bandsaw handbook with patterns. So if you need or didn't get all the information or don't remember all the information that you've been given tonight, this is a library.
There are 3 books in the library.
Yeah.
4.
Go, Jerry.
I went to the Superstar weekend.
Yeah.
And he mentioned an easy tension device, and it just comes. I just bought one. It's $35.
Yeah.
And it's only about 6 inches. It's only about 6 inches long. It's got 2 earth magnets, and you put it on the blade, and it works on the tension.
It's easy.
Yeah.
So is your finger. And I saved $35. I'm just one of those that if you own it, you ought to know how to repair it. It's
a comment about using the tensioner. You need to take your blade and take the tension all the way off, put it on, and then retension. Don't put it on under tension, because I think my experience was it didn't pop like it should have. So, anyways, it worked once I took the tension off, put it on there, and then retensioned it.
all right. They're actually once you get it going, it's really a nice thing, and boy, does it tear the sawdust up.